Welcome to Overwatch, and welcome to another episode of Gameplay and Chill. This time we're going to be focusing on Zarya? No, Zarya. Let's get that right. But two things. First and foremost, one, you might notice my voice sounds a little bit different. I'm experimenting with some different audio software just to try and make my voice sound a little bit nicer, cut out some of that peaking, make it more level, all this fancy audio stuff. Basically, it should sound nice. Hopefully it sounds nice to you guys. I think it sounds pretty damn nice myself. Anyway, second thing I want to address very quickly at the start. Some patch notes were leaked. Well, not leaked, but basically the Taiwanese group of Blizzard basically released patch notes a little bit early, or they patched earlier than everyone else. So patch notes are out for what's going to come up basically very soon. I imagine the coming, well, Wednesday morning, I guess. If you're in Europe, I'm not quite sure when they patch in America. Basically, Widowmaker's body shot damage got reduced from 150 to 120. McCree's right-click damage went down from 70 per shot to 45. If you aren't familiar with how I handle patches, it's basically I let them run out for about 2 days just so I get a good idea of sort of how the patch works, how it feels out going forward, and then I'll comment more on it. But basically I like the changes. I'm going to be curious to see how much we see Widowmaker drop off. I doubt we'll see her drop off at all as we have an AFK in game. This is incredibly frustrating. There's nothing we can do about that. Widowmaker still in a pretty good place, to be honest. Her headshot damage is basically unchanged, and if you're confused, by the way, about the unscoping thing, it's basically that thing where if you're on toggle, not toggle hold, if you're on hold down to scope, you can unscope and rescope very quickly and sort of jump around and bounce around very fast using that. So it's a little bit too much mobility on Widowmaker. They want her just to be forced to be more, I don't know, stationary when scoped, and so you have that trade-off of mobility. So that's why that change is in there, and you know there's now no advantage to using toggle and not using toggle. Otherwise, it's going to be interesting to see. I'm going to be curious to see if tanks become a little bit more prevalent, just because McCree was one of the strongest tools in dealing with them. I imagine they're going to be, you know, it's not going to change too much, honestly. It's just going to make McCree a little bit less explosive on tanks. He's less the ideal option to take against, for example, Winston. I think Winston's definitely freed up a lot more. Zarya is also going to be even stronger, which is pretty damn cool for me, because I like playing Zarya. Now, this game is honestly one of the more frustrating games I've played. I've actually had a run of very frustrating games, and let me tell you guys, just like, this is from the bottom of my heart. When I have frustrating games, it frustrates me even more because I want to give you guys good footage, right? I want you guys to watch games that I'm doing well in, that other people are doing well in, that I can call out the plays on. If everything's just going terribly for everybody, or I'm just getting super frustrated, I very rarely get salty in chat, by the way, so you're never going to see me explode like that, but you will hear me sort of go, oh god, this is just awful. And this game was one of those, but we do manage to do some pretty cool things at the end. And I want to just focus on the last half, well, not even half of this game, like most of this video now, on what I'm doing with Zarya, how I play Zarya, and Zarya's mini objectives, because we did the video on Soldier 76 and Genji on mini objectives. That was pretty well received, I thought. And so I want to talk about Zarya, because Zarya is one of my best heroes, definitely my highest win rate, next to Hanzo for some weird reason. But with Zarya, what you really need is you need a team working with you. You've got to have at least one other person who can deal basically reliable damage on the front line. You partner up with them and you try and bubble them as much as possible. Otherwise, you are looking to be a threat. And Zarya actually has like a kind of stage approach to her. Stage 1 is, which is basically what I'm on right now, but I'm struggling to find it, is getting high charge. So step 1 is always to try and find that high charge. If you don't have high charge, you're not going to be able to do much as Zarya, so go figure. Now, the way I go around that is I always just look at my team lineup, so you'll see me press tab very regularly as Zarya, especially when I'm coming out of spawn. Right now, the only person who I can consider worth burying are either Bastion, if people are trying to focus him, or Mei, because I can make Mei be a huge problem here. I managed to like pin half their team to the wall. I hope that someone gets some value out of that. I thought that Bastion would just turret up and kill everyone. He finally does it, but he was a bit slow in doing that, a bit slower than I'd like. But now I'm on high charge, you know, above 50%. I now want to go and just be a constant threat to their team. That said, I don't want to die, because if I die as Zarya, I lose more than pretty much any other hero in the game, right? I lose all that firepower I have. So I want to keep an eye on my health, I want to keep an eye on my barrier cooldowns. They've gone D.Va for some weird reason, which I'm perfectly fine with, because that's just free ultimates for me. D.Va can't stop me doing what I want. And here I'm just going to partner up with Mei. I'm just going to hope that Mei has presence of mind enough to stay around the point here, or stay around the choke point, and then me and Mei can both control the choke point. Basically, then I'm just fighting and fighting and fighting and fighting. I have no major target priority other than just killing whatever's in front of me and Mercy. If I can get on Mercy, then I will. And this game I remember as being particularly frustrating because no one on our team can reliably kill Mercy. So what do I mean by that? I mean that we have a Bastion who's in the back line, we have a Hanzo who is playing like your average pub Hanzo, so maybe you'll hit things, maybe you won't, who knows. It's a bit random. Mei can sort of threaten Mercy, but not really. So who's going to kill the Mercy? Well, it's not any of those guys. We do also have a Pharah now bouncing around. Pharah should be able to hunt down and kill the Mercy, but they have a Widowmaker, they have a McCree. It's a little bit difficult, and again, this was a frustrating game, so I'm just taking matters into my own hands, and whenever I can, I'm going to kill that Mercy. That also frustrated me, by the way. Like, there's a massive Reinhardt statue on top of the goddamn payload. Shoot it. It's free ultimate charge. He's a big meaty pinata. Break him open and take all the juicy goodness inside. But yeah, otherwise, I'm looking to engage in more versus ones as well. Notice that whenever I hit about 200 hit points, whenever I hear the noise that my shield is broken, I'll start backing out, because that's Zarya's massive, massive strength, is you can just keep fighting and fighting and fighting. You have 200 hit points, you know, the equivalent of pretty much every other hero in the game, where you can just keep forcing the issue. Here I kind of hoped that Mei would come in a bit more, just because then I could put a barrier on Mei. What you can try and do with Reinhardt, for example, you saw him, you know, me and Mei both ran forward trying to flank around opposite sides, and when he turns one way, basically, either he dies to me or he dies to Mei. When the enemy team came in a bit more, I was hoping that Mei would come a bit more towards me, but I should have really been turning a bit more as well, trying to get that barrier onto Mei a bit quicker. It wouldn't have changed much, but there you go, that's just me being me. Otherwise, again, I'm looking to deal with frontline threats, and this is one thing I see Zaryas do a lot, by the way, is they don't focus on the front line. There is a Tracer in the back line. That is not my problem. I cannot be dealing with that Tracer, because we need me on the front creating frontline pressure, and again, hunting down the Mercy just because no one else can do it. So I take out Mercy, then I screw up a little bit here, miss aim just for a moment, and McCree gets the better of me. It's going to happen every so often. You know, I don't mind losing that fight. But yeah, Zaryas do this quite a lot, and it really does frustrate me when they do. They'll start trying to hunt down backline threats. You can't afford to do that as Zarya other than just turning around and dropping the occasional right click. If you try and do it too much, you basically lose so much firepower on the front line that they can just start barreling in. You've just got to leave it to the backline, hope that they can handle it. Don't sort of get caught into the Tracer trap of sending 3 people to go and deal with Tracer. It frustrates me like nothing else when, you know, Tracer's tying up 3 people and then suddenly someone's left alone on the front line and they all barrel forward. I thought I'd saved that Bastion, by the way. I think Bastion died to the Tracer's guns. Maybe I did manage to save him from the bomb, because I got in front of him there. This is something I try and do as Zarya as well, by the way. The 2 shields you have are traditional barriers. They will work like normal barriers. So if you stand in front of someone, you're just absorbing all the damage that could be going on to them. So I play Bodyguard, you know, I play the, what's it called? The Noble Sacrifice, I think, the trap, the Paladin trap in Hearthstone, you know, get down! That's what I try and do with Zarya, right? I try and just jump in front of people with my barrier up, make sure that they can't sort of have damage out through him. Here, Mei's extending into the courtyard, she needs a barrier on her. And then Mei actually does a very intelligent thing, hunts down the Mercy. Unfortunately, Mei doesn't, again, have the damage to do it. Everyone dies on the back line because no one's dealing with the Reaper, because, hey, our threats to deal with Reaper are Bastion, Pharah, and the Mei, but Mei's with me on the front line. Bastion hasn't really been doing much. Hanzo's been, have you guys been watching the kill feed? Has Hanzo appeared on it? I don't know. So, you know, it's that constant assessment of, okay, what threats do I need to deal with? Well, at the moment it kind of feels like I need to deal with everything, and that's where you start losing, right? That's when things start going wrong, when it feels like you are the one trying to solve all the problems. When that happens, what I try and do is I try and reset my brain and say, I should just ignore these other problems. That's stuff for other people to deal with here. You know, I catch the Reinhardt, I thought I was going to be able to get the Mercy. Do start chasing down Mercy, can I land the shot? No, just a little bit too far, and I thought that second one would hit for sure, but it didn't. I was so frustrated, but picking up the health, making sure I'm good to go. Especially because now I'm sort of caught really badly out of position. Here I'm just looking for damage more than anything, looking to try and get my ultimate up as soon as possible before isolating the Mercy. Unfortunately, again, I can't afford to stay in a long brawl on low charge, try and kill that Mercy with a McCree plug-in damage into me. It's just not going to work, so retreat, get back to the team, try and get that high charge up and running again. Mercy ults, we punish, good. That's what should happen whenever Mercy ultimates, just blow her up. If she stays in the fight, it's too big of a problem. Here they do something weird, which is swap to a very heavy tank lineup. I think they wanted to try and force the issue, go for Winston, jump onto the point more, for example, get that payload moving a bit, but Winston, for example, really just doesn't work against a Mei and a Zarya. And then Mei, okay, Mei, sure, why not? And then, you know, understood, yep, okay, we're all good, yep, we can press Q and not use it for anything, right? There, again, like, finally Hanzo picks up a kill, thank goodness. Got a big enough target for it with Winston. I know I'm being snarky. I shouldn't be snarky. I shouldn't judge people. They're trying to learn, but it is frustrating in a game where it's like, we've had no threats for the entire game. Please just play something that kills things, because we need to. Like, I'm looking in the top corner and seeing that Reaper killed Farah. How? How? That shouldn't happen much. Oh well. Otherwise, again, getting in position, trying to shut down this side passage because I know Tracer wants to take it and I know McCree wants to take it. So I'm going to get myself in here, try and stall out the enemy team as much as I can, try and let them maybe deal with the front a little bit more because we have a Bastion that should be able to blow through 2 tanks, and Bastion does actually blow through the tanks. And then again, hunting down the hunting down the Mercy, trying to finish things off. Unfortunately, no one hears Mercy's footsteps. She does wear nice high heels, so you generally can hear her clopping about in the back, but no one does. I'm on no charge. I can't kill shit at the moment. Otherwise, they're about to come in. I have a Graviton Surge. Doesn't quite land actually where I wanted it, but it's good enough to keep them off the payload. It's just a zoning ultimate more than anything.
Victory. Double kill. Play of the game.
That was some Zarya gameplay. I'm hoping to bring you guys much better Zarya gameplay in the near future, just to show you a game where things go a lot better and I'm engaging a lot better, or there's just a lot more interesting stuff happening. But yeah, that was my thoughts on the upcoming patch and thoughts on what's happening now, or at least what the upcoming patch is. I think it's honestly a fine patch. It's a small step towards making the game a bit better. I want to see Mercy addressed, and I want to see D.Va addressed, by the way, as well in the very near future. Just D.Va a little bit buffed, Mercy a little bit nerfed. Actually, sod it, I have 1,000,001 thoughts on the upcoming patch. I will make the caveat that we haven't seen it in play. It is not live yet at the time of recording this video. So nerfing Widowmaker's body shot damage is not as big a deal as people think, although it is bigger than some people think. Like, I've seen some people say this does nothing, and that's not true, and I've seen some people say that this changes everything, which is also not true. It's basically like a happy middle ground, honestly, because what it means is that Widowmaker will need about 70% charge to be able to two-shot people. It takes a lot more charge now to basically get to that point where you are going to blow people away. It also means that the follow-up shot, if you're using it instantaneously, so if you're trying to instantaneously follow up a shot you've rattled off before, then it's going to work a lot less efficiently. Also, because you can't rescope quickly, it means that there is a lag period between when the next shot starts charging. So it basically means that she cannot two-shot as fast as she could before. But good Widowmakers will still be a massive threat. Widowmaker is not gone, and headshots are still super important. So if you're moving around badly, positioning badly, Widowmaker can still punish that. She's still very much in the meta. The McCree changes are super interesting to me because I've done some math in my head. One, Reaper is now completely safe against McCree. It used to be the case where flashbang right-click combo could not kill Reaper. If Reaper just held down the Wraith form button, it would regularly not be able to finish him off. Now it just can't finish him off full stop. Reaper should be winning 1 versus 1s against McCree at close range. That means that Reaper is a lot more viable. That means that Reaper is a lot stronger right now in the meta. Just because before, basically, why would you pick Reaper when you could pick McCree, who's versatile over more ranges and just as good close range? Now Reaper is your tank shredding option, now Reaper is your close range option. He's a lot better across both of those fields. And also, it is interesting to note, by the way, that McCree's reload time was changed as well. So it's gone back to what it was from before. That said, the flashbang still works as it always does, so it's kind of interesting. They've also fixed the Mercy bug, by the way, which is that Mercy used to be able to charge her ultimate when people were shooting barriers. That shouldn't have been happening, so now that won't happen. A slight tweak to Mercy will drop her ultimate rate ever so slightly. I will also comment on the fact that Widowmaker's ultimate got nerfed a tiny bit. Ultimate charge cost increased by 10%, but you've also got to remember that she deals less damage now unless she's landing headshots consistently. So hey, she'll have infrasight maybe, well, I wouldn't say 10% less, it's going to be more like 15% less, but it's still going to have high uptime if you are a good Widowmaker. It's still going to be a very ever-present threat, I think. In my mind, the patch won't change everything dramatically. You'll see McCree drop off a little bit, but because McCree is the only source of reliable crowd control, he's still going to be very much in the meta. He'll still blow up squishies pretty regularly. I'll also imagine that McCree sort of landing left clicks and then left click flashbang, left click headshot will be much more prevalent. That's good because it's higher skill, right? And I'm always an advocate of, hey, the game takes more skill now. That's good to me. That's good news. But we will see. I'll do a full rundown of the patch notes in 2 or 3 days after the patch comes out, just so I have a good feel for how it's affected the game. Talk to some pros as well about their thoughts on it. One thing I have heard is that they think that tanks are going to be a lot more important. Winston is going to be back in the meta. Zenyatta, no, probably not still. He's just a bit too squishy, doesn't quite provide what Mercy does, and you can't afford to swap other things out for Zenyatta. But willing to be proved wrong. Pros have been wrong in the past as well. They were wrong about Symmetra, for example. They thought that when the 50 shields nerf got dropped down to 25, it wouldn't be enough, and it turns out it was enough. So hey, Blizzard actually kind of know what they're doing. Giving them the benefit of the doubt for this one, I think it's a pretty good patch. I think it's going to work out pretty okay. Toodles.
Still behind.